Welcome to the March meeting of the Traffic Committee. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 3 p.m. So the Traffic Committee items approved at the previous Traffic Committee meeting was the traffic review of East Garvey Avenue South between Azusa Avenue and Hollenbeck Avenue, the line of sight review of Jubilee Christian School, the line of sight review of Woodgate Drive and Evangelina Street, and now we will be going into the new items for this meeting. So the first item is the traffic review at Temple Avenue and Woodgate Drive. And the City of West Covina received a request to review the traffic conditions at the intersection of Temple Avenue and Woodgate Drive. The resident expressed concerns about vehicles at night colliding with center medians on Temple Avenue and at this intersection, and requested that traffic calming measures be installed to increase visibility of these medians. The traffic review included an analysis of existing roadway conditions, a review of approximately 3 years of available collision data, and a field observation at the intersection of Temple Avenue and Woodgate Drive. So Temple Avenue runs north and south and is considered a major collector road. Temple Avenue has a posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour and is approximately 40 feet wide on the north side of the intersection with Woodgate Drive. And on that same north side has one lane of travel in each direction, a double yellow center line, and it has raised pavement markings. And parking is allowed in that section, except in areas marked by red curb and during street sweeping days. Temple Avenue then extends to 52 feet with 2 lanes in each direction with a double yellow center line on the south side of the intersection with Woodgate Drive, and parking is not allowed on the south side of Temple Avenue, south of the intersection with Woodgate Drive. For Woodgate Drive, it runs east-west and is considered a major collector road. Woodgate Drive has a posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour and is approximately 40 feet wide with 1 travel lane in each direction and a double yellow center line. Parking is allowed on both sides of the street with parking permits and not allowed during street sweeping on the first and third Friday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So now collision history was looked into for this report and was looked at for a 3-year period between December 2019 to the most recent available collision data, which was December 2022. And from this review, we saw that there was 1 collision that occurred in 2021. So now based on, after a thorough review of the existing field conditions, as well as the traffic conditions and per the guidelines in the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, also known as the CAM-UTCD, and the California Vehicle Code, and based on engineering judgment, it was determined that the intersection of Temple Avenue and Woodgate Drive would benefit from updated and new traffic signage. So the recommendations shown here include removing and replacing the existing median stop signs with new oversized stop signs on the center medians for northbound traffic and southbound traffic, installation of red reflective strips on existing signposts at the intersection, removal of the existing 3-way plaque under each stop sign and installation of a new all-way plaque underneath all stop signs at the intersection, and refreshing the reflected yellow paint on the center medians at the intersection.
Do we have any discussion? Adam, John, any discussion?
No question,
on
no,
this?
thank you, no discussion. Pretty straightforward.
The only difference I see is we may have to, instead of the 36-inch stop sign, we make sure how wide that median is. So we'll have to do a recheck on that median to make sure the stop sign is not outside the lines of the raised concrete. So if it, however wide the median is how wide as wide as the stop sign can be in the middle. Because we don't want them to hit the sign itself, so. And I think the red reflectors will really show up at night. And these are going to be put on all the stop signs, not just the center ones.
So the existing sign is how wide?
That's what it doesn't show, so we need to check.
Okay.
Currently, it's a standard.
The standard, it may be 30-inch, so we need to check that.
So if it's 30 inches, then the 36 would be only 3 inches on either side, right?
Yeah, so we want to make sure it doesn't,
Right.
you know, if the, the median
Understood.
is.
What
Yeah.
I'm suggesting, even if it's 30 inches, if it's a brand new sign with more reflectivity and, you know, brighter, it will make a whole bunch of difference.
Right,
So
yes.
even if we cannot go wider, but change it to a new standard sign,
Yes,
it would be an improvement.
with the highly reflective.
Right, right.
I mean, these stop signs, they do get faded, so.
Yeah, yeah, it makes a whole lot of difference.
And the red reflective posts that you see on the bottom, those really work at night. So those will be on all the stop signs, not just the middle ones.
Sounds good.
So Brian, in our recommendation, we'll have to put how many that includes. Okay, do we, let's have a vote to take this to council for approval? Those approve?
Aye.
Aye, okay. We will forward that one to council then with those changes to the, checking the size and adding the red post to all the stop signs. Okay?
Then the next item on our agenda is the traffic review along Cameron Avenue between Hollenbeck Avenue and Azusa Avenue. So the city of West Covina received a resident request to review the segment along Cameron Avenue between Hollenbeck Avenue and Azusa Avenue. The residents expressed concerns about vehicles driving above the speed limit along Cameron Avenue and requested speed feedback signs or other traffic calming measures to be installed midway between Hollenbeck Avenue and Azusa Avenue. And the traffic review included an analysis of the existing roadway conditions, a review of approximately 3 years of available traffic collision data, an average daily traffic count or ADT count, and a 24-hour speed survey along Cameron Avenue between Hollenbeck and Azusa. So Cameron Avenue is an east-west street that is considered a minor arterial road. Cameron has a posted 45-mile-per-hour speed limit and is approximately 62 feet wide with 2 lanes in each direction and is divided by a double solid yellow center line with raised pavement markers. Parking is not allowed on both sides with signage "no stopping anytime" posted along the street. And then for Azusa Avenue is a north-south road that is considered a principal arterial road. Azusa Avenue is approximately 80 feet wide with 2 lanes in each direction and a raised median divider. And this segment of Azusa Avenue has a posted speed limit of 45 miles per hour, and parking is allowed along both sides of Azusa except in areas marked with red and where fire hydrants are present for this segment. And then Hollenbeck Avenue is a north-south road that is considered a minor arterial road. It is approximately 80 feet wide with 2 lanes in each direction with double solid yellow center lines dividing the road. Hollenbeck Avenue has a posted speed limit of 40 miles per hour, and parking is allowed on both sides of Hollenbeck except on areas where red curbs are marked. So as part of this review, we did a collision review from Switters on Cameron Avenue between Azusa Avenue and Hollenbeck Avenue. And the time period was a 3-year period between December of 2019 through December of 2022. And from this review, we found that there were 10 collisions during this time frame. And as well as part of the review, we did an average daily traffic or ADT count. And those counts were taken on December 6, 2022. And from this, it was shown that 12,702 vehicles per day was the total for both directions. As well, we did a 24-hour speed survey on the same day, December 6, 2022. And based on that speed survey, the 85th percentile speed of vehicles along Cameron Avenue was determined to be 48 miles per hour. This means that 85% of vehicles sampled were traveling at 48 miles per hour or below, which is above the posted speed limit of 45 miles per hour. And after a thorough review of the existing field and traffic conditions and per the CAMUTCD and California Vehicle Code, and based on engineering judgment, it was determined that the segment along Cameron Avenue between Azusa Avenue and Hollenbeck Avenue would benefit from a combination from installation of side striping and signage along Cameron Avenue. And the recommendations can be seen there, which include install new signposts and install a signal ahead W3-3 sign approximately 400 feet east of Azusa Avenue for westbound traffic. Installation of 45-mile-per-hour pavement legends on the road for both directions. And installation of white side striping along Cameron Avenue.
Do we have any discussion on this one? The other segment from Hollenbeck to Citrus, has the side stripes that we did install. We actually installed also the speed feedback sign, but it was a much higher speed limit. This one, it's at 48, which is slightly above the posted speed limit of 45. So in this case, we were just recommending the side stripes and wait and see how it does, and then see if it needs additional measures later.
So the side striping would give the perception to the drivers, particularly those that are going at a higher rate of speed, that the roadway is narrower. So the tendency for you, if you have that perception, is if the roadway is narrower, you're supposed to slow down, so it's.
Correct, that's the objective of side stripes, so it's visual,
Right.
mental. So it's usually placed 8 feet from the side, so parked cars are still, you're not impacting the residents, so they can still park there if it's allowed. But then hopefully that the visual narrowing of the street would slow the speed down.
Yeah, we've actually sat there from Azusa all the way to Citrus, and we didn't find anything really excessive when we were there.
Mm-hmm.
We even put one of our speed radar trailers
Oh.
up at Hollenbeck and Cameron, so.
You get your random speeder, but it wasn't like
Yeah,
insane.
it was,
Yeah.
I would say our average was about 45, 46, 47, somewhere in there. And every once in a while we might get like a 50 or so, but I sat there for hours and only found one. So
Okay, so,
I think this would probably help with giving them the perception of slowing down, so, and see how it goes off of that.
okay, it's kind of continuing the segment from Citrus
Yep.
down, so
Mhm.
that it's
It's
kind of like a
consistent.
continual. So do we agree with the assessment, or any
Mhm.
comments?
No comments.
If we're gonna recommend it, should we recommend it beyond Azusa and Hollenbeck where it's not striped?
Well, the only thing, I was looking at that, because on the west side of Azusa, it has no parking. Because the
We just did
lanes are
that.
narrower, so you couldn't put the 8-foot because there's no parking anyway. So we would have to look at other things for
Okay.
that one.
I
'Cause I
think
was
we
like-
just did that one a couple meetings ago with the whole red curb, right? Didn't we talk
I
about that?
can't, I think it
front of
was
the
further
school?
down, yeah, in
Yeah.
front of the school,
Yeah, we just looked at that one not that long ago.
yeah.
So there's no parking allowed? on this
Correct, the
segment?
lanes are only, I think, 13 feet wide, so you
Mhm.
don't have the extra 8-foot width
Oh,
to
I
put
see.
in a side
So the
stripe.
roadway narrows?
Yes,
Okay, okay.
yeah. And that's on the other side of Azusa Avenue. And I think it widens again once it gets in front of the high school, but I think right in that section, because I also looked at that going, see if that could be extended, but we don't have the width.
Okay.
Okay, do we want to approve this recommendation and take it forward to council?
I'll take a vote on it.
Yes, vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
And the third item is the traffic review of Willow Avenue at Ituni Street. So traffic engineering staff received a resident request to install stop signs along Willow Avenue at the intersection of Willow Avenue and Ituni Street, making it an all-way stop. The resident expressed speeding concerns along Willow Avenue and requested traffic calming measures to be installed. This traffic review included an analysis of existing roadway conditions, a review of approximately 3 years of available collision data, an average daily traffic count, and a 24-hour speed survey, as well as the completion of a field observation at the intersection. So Willow Avenue is a northeast-southwest major collector road and is approximately 40 feet wide and has a posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour north of Yarnell Street for northbound travel, as well as a posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour south of Merced Avenue for southbound travel. Willow Avenue has one lane in each direction and is marked with a dashed yellow center line, and parking is allowed on both sides of Willow Avenue with the exception of areas marked in red curb. For Ituni Street is a northwest-southeast local road and is approximately 40 feet wide and has a prima facie speed of 25 miles per hour. Ituni Street consists of one lane in each direction with no marked center line, and parking is permitted on both sides of the street with the exception of areas marked with red curb. So again, we did a collision history for this intersection. And we did the same time span of December 2019 through December 2022 and noted one collision. And as well, we did a speed survey for both Willow and Ituni. And for Willow Avenue, the 24-hour speed survey showed that the 85th percentile speed was 38 miles per hour. And the speed limit is currently posted at 25 miles per hour. And for Ituni Street west of Willow Avenue, the 85th percentile speed was found to be 23 miles per hour with a posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour. And it was noted during the speed survey as well for Willow Avenue that vehicles traveling more than 25 miles per hour were documented mostly between 7 to 9 a.m. in the morning. And as well, we did so we did speed surveys for both as well. My apologies. ADT counts for both as well. And that was taken on the same day, December 8th of 2022. And the total for Willow Avenue south of Ituni Street was around 4,100, whereas Ituni Street west of Willow Avenue was about 1,100 approximately for that 24-hour ADT count. So since this request was for a always stop warrant, we did the warrants that are found in the CAM UTCD, and we have them here. So it did not meet any of the thresholds for an always stop, as shown here. And then, based on the ADT count as well as the 24-hour speed survey, the recommendations for this intersection was to install cross-traffic does not stop plaques underneath the existing stop sign, refresh the stop pavement legend and stop bar along Ituni Street, and install 25 mile per hour speed limit pavement legends along Willow Avenue for northbound and southbound travel ahead of the intersection with Ituni Street, as shown in the installation diagram.
Does this have speed limit signs?
It does further back on both sides of that segment.
Okay, so I'm thinking then that the 25 legends need to be next to the signs.
Okay.
So for this one, it did not meet, there are stop warrants that we need to look at, which is based on volume at every approach, as well as number of collisions. So it didn't meet the warrants, the criteria for installing always stop. There is, it looks like Willow does have some speeding on it, so now PD is informed, so this will be one that they take to their, do some spot enforcement. And then the report did say that it was mainly 7 to 9 a.m.s, which may be commuters or people, school drop off, yeah, school drop off. So We will check into that and then keep monitoring it to see how it goes. If we put unwarranted stop signs at a location, then people driving on Willow won't feel that they need to stop, so then they start rolling through the intersection, is why we don't put unwarranted stop signs. And that could be a problem, because the people coming out of Atuni, they may think that someone's gonna stop and they're rolling through, and so then we have to look at, that may cause more collisions versus what it is there now. So at this point, we're gonna do some added enforcement and put it a few, like the cross traffic does not stop, to remind the side street that they need to look both ways before they enter the main street on Willow. Do we have any other discussion?
Yeah, I think it's kind of important to note that that traffic collision that occurred in 22 wasn't even a factor of speed, because we both responded to that. And it wasn't, it was one of our major accident investigations, but it wasn't anything to do with like the stop sign or the speed, so.
That's good to know, and I think it looked like the driver was under the influence, so.
Yeah, it was a DUI.
It was
Yeah.
an individual person's issue, not.
Yeah, right, the whole thing.
He wasn't even supposed to be on the street, so.
Okay, all right. So do we have, John, do you have any comments, or?
No, ma'am, thank you very
Okay,
much.
so want to vote to take this one as well to council? All those in favor?
All right?
Aye, okay. So we'll forward that one as well to council, and we'll also rely on you guys to do your little added spot enforcement, so people driving on Willow, beware.
So the next items are some updates we have. So the first is that there will be a meeting at the Senior Center located at 2501 East Cortez Street on Wednesday, March 29th at 6 p.m. And this meeting will be held to discuss improvements to the intersection of Citrus Street and Cameron Avenue, as well as invite residents to be included in the discussion of the intersection. And as well, it's good to know if you have any comments or questions and you can't make it, you could always email them into us at traffic@transtech.org. And then our second update is that the city created a new policy and or process that will be followed for when we get new resident requests. And this was approved at the last council meeting and is now in effect and is available on the city website under, let me go ahead and show it right here, under the Community Development and Engineering tab and under the sub-tab of traffic calming related requests. And it also has different infographics about different commonly used traffic calming measures and their warrants and things like that. So it's a lot of really good information. Oh, there they are. So there's signs on, there's pamphlets on crosswalks, curb markings and parking, school crossing guards, speed humps, stop signs and traffic signals, and kind of goes over what warrants them. So that way the public and residents can be aware of that. Okay. And now we move on to our last section, which is going to be audience comments on items not on the agenda. So the first one I have here is, I apologize, I can't read the last name, but Ernesto for parking.
Yes, Ernesto Zuniga.
Oh,
Yes, go
Hello,
ahead.
everybody, my name is Ernesto Zuniga, live at 422 East Florence Avenue. I've been here about, I bought my home there about 14 years ago, and I know we've had the issue with parking, and that some of the residents have been here for meetings, and we want to make it a permit parking if possible. We're having an issue. There's a church there, nothing personal with the church, but we're just having a lot of problems with just taking over. It's a dead-end street, and we're having a lot of problems with it right now because there's no parking. I mean, I know they hold mass on Wednesdays and Sundays. It's not Wednesdays and Sundays, it's 7 days a week. And it's till midnight all the time. And they're very nice, they're very respectful, they're very, I've talked to a lot of them. And then they come out and, they are trying their best to work with us. But, they're growing more and more members. It's getting bigger. I mean, they're doing a lot of construction and it's gonna get bigger. And it's getting to a point where on weekends, we can't even have a barbecue and there's no parking. I got two daughters, they're in high school, I'm gonna buy them a car now. I'm thinking, well, where are they gonna park now? You know, and sometimes, and like I said, the church, they've been very nice and very respectful. You know, I talked to, and here's the problem we're having is that I talked to one of their members. He said, Ernie, I know we're not here that long, or we're only here Wednesday. I go, no, you're here every day. I mean, it's 7 days. And the problem is that you gotta understand, a group comes in the morning, they go home, and then the other group comes in. You see, we live there. See, we gotta deal with all the groups that come there. And then when we're done with the church, now you have La Puente. Man, people from La Puente coming in parking there. You know, you got these two Chargers, and I don't know if you heard these complaints, two Charger cars, hot rods, that make really loud noise. They're there every day. You can hear them every day at 2 o'clock. Now, the young kids, it's not their fault. And there's no parking, I don't blame them. But they don't see that. It's for us, we live there. We gotta, and I tell them, we live there. You know, we gotta see this every day. And that's what I told the church member. I go, listen, you leave right now, like you're happy, you come, you park your car for 2 hours, you go home. Now, after you leave, another car comes in. Now, the other day, they're blocking half my driveway, half of it. Now, I don't wanna call them, listen, we've called them before on other issues, and they're, and they take care of it, you guys do an awesome job. Every time we call, you guys have always been there, but we don't wanna call you for that, I know you got other important things to do. But it gets you mad, cause they're blocking your driveway, and then they come, oh, I'm sorry, you know, it's okay, but next time just call us to move it. I go, no, I'm not here to go knocking in your door and have you move your car, don't be parking there. And if you ever go there, I have a cone there every day, a big cone. Cause I don't want them to block my driveway. So we just wanna see, what can we go about getting a permit? I know other residents have come talk to you about it. If not, I know it's a process, I know it's a long process, maybe even painting the curb red if it's possible. Now, I feel bad for him, Mr. Ramon, he's my neighbor, he sees everything, he's right in front. And there's nothing personal, we can say, nothing personal with the church, they're very nice, and they are trying the hardest. But you got La Puente residents coming in now.
Now, did the residents come at night
Yeah.
to park there, so
Yeah.
they're parking overnight?
Yeah, overnight, yeah.
Any night.
Yeah.
So the city is working on revising their parking situation, so things, they're working on it.
Yeah.
So, they're gonna look at street sweeping, permit parking, overnight parking, all of that, so that's being considered. So until that comes out with council and what direction they
Yeah.
want to go, we're kind of, tied. But now the city has a new code enforcement that does parking. So then you don't have to call the police department for any parking issues, like they're over their long limit or they're blocking your driveway.
Or
then-
part of that does have permit parking, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Molinder itself, but
Yeah.
they're can you get the site? They're a cul-de-sac off of Molinder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe you had come in a couple meetings ago.
Yeah.
So we do have our code enforcement that is assisting our police department. I think at one point we were down to 1 patrol officer for traffic.
Oh, this is the traffic department.
Yeah, so you guys have them right here. So,
Huge department.
yeah. So we are having our code enforcement assist with parking citations, and so that we don't have to take up their time and they can go out and do enforcement of traffic or speeding and things like that. And so we can, through the city app, submit parking citation, parking requests, and our code enforcement officers will go take care of it.
And it worked, I used it already.
Okay,
The other
perfect.
residents use it as well.
Yeah.
We do it so we don't have to call them.
You're right,
So I'd rather
right.
do that.
That's
It's
great.
just, can you look into even painting the curb red if it's possible? The problem is, that if you ever go through there, they block, the 2 sides are full bumper to bumper, and they go all the way to the curb. All the way to the curb. So, as a matter of fact, one day, one of the officers must have got a call, somebody called, and he was coming in, which is,
Oh.
goes in the mirror, you don't think?
The main problem is that Francisquito is county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And that church is county
So
too.
the street is bumper to bumper from county.
Yes.
We can only fix our side of it.
Yeah.
But-
Or where was Covina?
So it's,
Yeah.
it's tough because
If you
most
could-
streets, if it was West Covina,
Yeah.
the street Francisquito would be clear.
Exactly.
So the church people wouldn't have to go to your street because they would just go on Francisquito.
Yeah.
They can't go on Francisquito because it's just wall-to-wall cars because it's a county area.
And the thing is, they park all the way to the curb,
Yeah.
all the way around, so there's only one lane, so only one car fits through there. Now, is it possible you put that down, maybe paint one side red, the curb?
So that's something that you could submit to the
Maybe
traffic
that.
for as
That'll
a
be against the wall, there's a wall, right against that wall right there.
request.
Is
Because
it
So you
Is
can't
it
submit a
possible
request
to-
for that request,
Yeah.
to make it the curb red, but you'd have to submit it through the request. As Brian mentioned, there is a new process for
Okay, let's do that.
request for residents, so do
So
we
who
have the
I go to,
information?
After I come back later, or come to the office?
Brian
He's
will
gonna-
walk you through the
yeah, he's
process to
gonna-
make that
We're
request.
gonna make
I
sure
mean,
that.
can we articulate that it's potentially like a hazard for people responding, like law enforcement or fire department? And I don't know if that helps with making the curb red or
It's,
enforcing anything
now
like
which
that.
street are you on?
Florence.
Lucille?
Florence Avenue.
Florence. Oh, you're on Florence,
Yeah, it's
okay.
a dead
Yeah,
end.
it is, I have been there before, it is bumper to bumper with cars all the way down the street.
Yeah, it depends what
And
the
makes it worse,
width
they go
is.
all the way to the curb, they're like on the curb.
Yeah.
Now, the curb with Mullender
Yeah, on both sides.
on both sides, so we have to, yeah, we'd have to look
So
at
they
the
go
width
around the
and-
corners.
Yeah, around the corner, so when you come out, an officer got a call, I'm telling you, he was coming down fast, but he was coming in, making a turn, and we just pulled there, he couldn't go, I couldn't go. There's no-
So how
only
far
one
up
place.
Molinder does it go? Is it also up to, is it Lucille?
It goes to like Lucille at
Yeah.
least, yeah.
I'm assuming, yeah, it doesn't stop at Florence.
The what?
The parking issue doesn't stop at Florence, is it?
Well, Mullen, they made it permit parking now. Mullen is that's all permitted parking now.
Yeah,
But what they do now is now they park on Florence Avenue now,
how wide?
all the way
is
down to the dead end.
Florence?
So they go to the side
When,
streets.
the couple times I've been there, I have seen it on Lucille too. So it does bump up.
That's what I'm assuming.
And it's gonna grow, because they're doing a lot of construction, I don't know if they're gonna live there, because they're doing a lot of construction,
At the church?
yeah.
And the church does have,
I don't think
because
they can live there, but-
the last time this came up, I think you were here, I actually went and talked to the church myself. And they have parking. I told them they gotta figure out the parking and talk to county and come up with maybe like permit parking on Francisquito or whatever they have to do. I
Well, a
mean,
lot of churches also do separate parking, so they can park in a different lot, make an agreement with somebody, and then they shuttle the people in if there's no parking.
Yeah.
We've had churches do that too.
And they're really respectful, and it's nothing against it, it's just for us, it's hard, we live there. We gotta go every day.
Yeah, it's a little, it's just like the officer said, it's a little tougher because the church is not in West Covina,
Yeah.
so we don't have any way to,
And then on that
Look at
wall there
that,
where
so.
he lives right on the wall, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, you go out there, everybody's smoking, not the church, but you got people, kids, smoking weed, drinking beer, there's bottles there every Saturday morning, Sunday morning, there's bottles trashed there every
Well,
day.
that's called a PD, right?
Yeah, that'd be a.
yeah, well, it's
different
actually
problem.
sheriff's department,
Oh, is it
Sheriff.
depending on where?
because if it's by the church, it's county.
Well, no, it's on our side, though. It's on our side.
Oh,
It's on
okay.
us.
So then,
But
it- yeah,
again,
either
like I said,
sheriff's or PD,
Yeah,
call.
no, it would be them, but we're not gonna call, every day we're gonna be calling you guys for that, we don't wanna bother you guys, I know we should, but we don't want.
well, on the table is, I think we even have the new citizen request stuff,
Okay.
so take that and fill that in, and then,
Okay. Can I
turn
get
it
your
into
card and
us.
I'll call you later on.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get that to you after.
And there is more residents coming, it's just they probably couldn't make it traffic.
well, it's probably raining pretty hard, so. Okay, we'll take
Thank
that
you. Thank you,
into,
guys. Thank
we
you.
have our notes on there,
Sorry.
so that's okay. Do we have another speaker?
And then the second item, audience comment not on the agenda is for Doran Tresk, I believe.
I didn't know I'd be speaking today. So I'm here on behalf of an apartment complex on the southwest corner of South Garvey and Mockingbird Lane. Historically, so it's my family that owns the complex since the early 70s. And we've always parked on Garvey, the tenants have parked on Garvey. And I got kind of a frantic call a few months ago that one of the tenants got ticketed twice, parked underneath that big ficus that you see to the because they're at the curb is contiguous until the driveway, and then there's a little piece still like, call our property, where the ficus is, so there's a singular parking space there. Yeah, there you go. I didn't notice till a few months ago that there's even a sign that says no parking anytime. But it's 10 apartments, 2 2-bedrooms, 4 1-bedroom, 4 studios. So typically there's like 14 to 16, there could be more depending on how many people you put in a bedroom, 2 adults, you could, yeah. So there's there's one dedicated space for each apartment at the moment. My understanding is, it was built in 61. When the 10 freeway came through, it was kind of cut in half. And so there's been a singular parking space since that time, off-street parking, one for each apartment
So you have
since
10
that time.
on site?
And so people, I'm sorry, what?
You have 10 spaces on site?
10 spaces on site, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, off-street parking, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were in one bedroom and you had a significant other with whom you were sharing, that person parked on the street. And I was never aware that you weren't allowed to park on the street. Mockingbird is an option, but that's a highly competitive street to park on, particularly recently. And the two bedrooms, they have a door that opens, they have two doors, one that opens poolside and then one that opens onto the Mockingbird side. And so traditionally, one of their typically two cars would be in the dedicated off-street parking, and then one right in front of their apartment. So that Mockingbird option is pretty much taken up with their, so there's a pool guy that comes once a week, there's a gardener that comes, the handyman that comes, our family that may stop by, and we've never been ticketed, so I don't know, maybe I shouldn't let sleeping dog, or should I let sleeping dog live? I've been wondering, am I making a molehill or mountain out of a molehill? But when one tenant calls, you kind of wonder if it's happened. To other tenants. So I did a mass email, a couple months ago, and it's just been that one tenant under the ficus tree, and that's when I learned that code enforcement is helping you guys. So I don't know if there's just been this, up until that happened, if there's just been a kind of like hands-off approach. But I drove from the apartment complex to Holland back and back, just to kind of see what the parking situation was like, and if there was any other residential structures that may have had a similar challenge. And the only other one I can see is on the southeast corner of Meadow and Garvey. There's another small apartment complex, but its longitudinal axis is parallel with Meadow. And so they have a lot more off-street parking options, plus they have more on-street parking options, plus off-street, I noticed they had ample parking. So it's not much of an issue.
So, Brian, can you go up again? So you want, because I drove by this and I didn't see the signs, except for I do see one right there. So it looks
Yeah.
like they've been removed.
Well,
They
yeah,
have a post,
Yes,
but there's no sign,
when
so
I did
I
my
don't know
initial
what it
driving
was,
back
should have
and
been,
forth,
yeah.
I noticed that there was just one very faded sign on the south side of Garvey near Holland. Is it Holland Beck?
Yeah.
Holland Beck. Very faded. And then there's no signage, but along the lamppost,
They have, like,
you can
straps,
see
yeah.
two straps. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I started to think,
Yeah, you used to
I
do
wonder,
those.
are they going to put signs up? But then when I came in to see Brian initially, well, not to see him, but that's who answered the desk, he said, oh, it looks like they've been taking the signs off. And I said, oh, really? And he did a Google search, and you can see signs up, signs down, signs up. And there is a no parking. I went and looked.
Right at the corner?
Like I said, right at the corner, it looks like a new sign. And it's like, that's when I did the double take. It's like, oh my God, when did that start? So my hope,
Mhm.
maybe is, I tend to be optimistic, is I'd like to continue to provide at least the needed parking for the tenants. I did write Brian, and I
I
admitted
have
that
that.
when I was calculating like how many cars, yeah, I wasn't entertaining like if a tenant had a guest, that's going to be hard. But even, it'd be nice to be able to continue to provide parking for the tenants that need
So
to be
you're
parked.
kind of looking on the west of Mockingbird. That's
Yeah,
where you
so-
would like to have parking,
Yeah, so like,
To make sure-
here's where the
yes.
2 bedrooms open up, and so
but
there's,
on Garvey though,
there's
right?
like,
Yeah,
wait, that's Garvey.
yeah.
So that's
Right
not
in
an
there.
issue, but it's
Yes.
from like the curb to, I think they occasionally park here, but it's mostly, I do notice
Mhm.
that every now and again I'll see, well, I shouldn't say every now and again, I haven't done a proper study. But it's often, there's a singular parking space underneath the ficus, and that's often used. And this is usually what I've done, is full of our tenants' cars or somebody's cars.
Okay. So, I think you submitted a request, so it's under review. So we'll have to take a look, and then we'll have to get back to you. And see, I guess it mainly is if there's line of sight coming out of Mockingbird, we want to make sure that no car is going to block the line of sight coming, and if there's enough lane width. Because you have to have 18 feet to allow 8 foot for parking.
There happens to be, perhaps serendipitously, right on South Garvey, near the post, that's singular post
Mhm.
that has the, what looks like a new no parking at time sign, there's a fire hydrant there, so that kind of takes care of a lot
Yeah,
of that.
so that's like
Not
15
18
feet,
but
yeah.
it's a start.
Mhm. So we will review it, because you have a request, so it'll be under review, and then we'll, Brian can get back to you, and it'll come back here, so we'll let you know.
Okay, should I come next month?
We'll have to let you know when it's coming, because we have to do our due diligence and take a look, field, you know. Then we will let you know when it's coming, so that you can be present. So you can keep in touch with Brian, and he'll let you know.
And you can reach out to me for updates as well. So, if any of your tenants ask, you could just reach out to me for either at the counter, email, or phone. I believe you have them all.
Yeah.
Just reach out to me and I'll confirm with the traffic team and just get an answer on where the reports are or what's going on with that.
Because we have to find out if someone put no parking there in the past, we have to
Ask
research
why.
to find out why. Maybe there was a
Yeah.
reason, then we'll get with PD, make sure that we're good safety-wise before we make a decision, so.
Yeah, were those signs removed on purpose, or?
Yeah, that's it, so,
Or not.
you know, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, 3 of the tenants had been there pretty long, 26 years, 22 years, and somewhere between 10 and 20, and they've never been ticketed. So that's,
Well,
Well,
now
that's, like
we
I
have
said, our
there's
code,
separate issues, but.
Well, now we
or
have
this
we.
helpers.
We've grown our code enforcement division into 6 full-time. And so they've broken up the city into 4 service areas, which are same as our police service areas. And so there's a dedicated individual for each service area. And so they are going out there on a daily basis, inspecting and checking for things, that violate code, and that includes parking citations. And so we've been assisting PUD with that, and that's why there's a lot more parking citations that are being given out in the last couple months. And that will continue to happen.
Website.
So it's okay it's good that I'm here then. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, you could let your residents know that, the city is going to be doing parking enforcement now. We have been doing it. We will continue to be doing that.
Is it, well, it's too premature, but my mind races ahead. Is there any, safety always comes first, but is there any recourse? I mean, if the committee or council, whoever makes a decision to make it, to enforce the no parking, then.
Well, I think what we're all trying to relay is that there's a due diligence process that needs to take place, the investigation, full
premature.
investigation. And it will take, I wanted to say it may take longer than a month, but with all the requests that comes in, it takes a bit longer than a month, and Brian will be in contact with you to let you know about the status. And one last notation, there's been, I don't know how long ago, was when I heard the phrase longitudinal axis. So
Oh.
you must be either a mathematician or in science.
I'm trying to think where I picked that up. I don't know. My dad was an engineer, maybe I
There we
got it
go,
from
that's
him.
where it is.
Okay, do we have any other residents that want to speak, or anyone else? Okay. We thank everyone for coming. Is there any items on the commission that want to be brought up? I think we've covered a lot of them, so we'll see you next month. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, too.
And we have your email, and,
Yes.
yeah, and then check the table out. We have some more little pamphlets there, and,
Okay, so time to read stuff for it.